Hey, Ham Nation's coming up next. Bob Heil is out doing Bob Heil stuff, but that's okay because we've got a very familiar face that you haven't seen for a while. We're going to check in with her. Then we're going to tell you all about the Milwaukee Superfest. We're going to learn everything you ever want to know about the wind system. And George has fun with an Arduino, plus Dr. T and Newsline, and a whole lot more. It's all coming up for you right now on this episode of Ham Nation. You're just in time.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by ICOM. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. By DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. Most in-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation. And by Hover. Make a name for yourself with Hover. Visit hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 422 for October 2nd, 2019. All about the wind system. Hey, happy Wednesday. It's 8 p.m. Central. You can do your own math as to whatever time it is where you are, but no matter where you are, it's Ham Nation time. I'm Don Wilbanks at E5DW. Bob Heil is off tonight doing Bob Heil stuff, so we have the normal group of unindicted co-conspirators and a familiar face that we haven't seen in a while. We've got Val back with us tonight, so let's just go around the horn and see how everybody's doing. Ladies first. Valerie, it's so nice to see you. What's been going on in Valerie land?
You know, it's great to be back. I'll spare you guys the gory details. I've had some health issues, and I tried some alternative non-insured medicine, and it seems to be working. So I'm going to start taking it slowly, and you're going to start seeing me a little more regular. As a matter of fact, I have a great episode for next week already lined up with the Pitcairn team leader, Ralph. So that's going to be real fun to talk about. They're going to the island of Pitcairn. And so I've got I tried moon bounce over for the last month or so, and so I worked Japan on 6 meters, Seychelles.
Wow.
Yeah, off the moon. I bounced my signal off the moon, and I don't have elevation. My antenna is just a regular Yagi. There's no elevation, so I can only work on moonrise and moonset. But I can't believe it. I'm having a ball with that. And for you DXers, if you don't have a lot of band slots left to fill, you have like close to 3,000 and you're running out of stuff to work, probably 6 meters is where you really need to fill. So moon bounce is the way to go. So I'll be talking about that in a few weeks as well. I got Lance coming on. And so just wanted to say real quick, there's a couple of DX going on right now. Tokelau, Zulu Kilo 3 Alpha, and the Liberia guys. These are big DX expeditions, so get on the air and get these guys. We got Alpha 82 X-Ray and Alpha 82 Zulu. They're on Liberia, so haven't seen that one on in a long time. So good DX. I'll see you guys next week with Pitcairn.
Great. So good to have you back with us tonight, Valerie. We're looking forward to the Pitcairn report next week. I just got back from Peoria Superfest, and I took a tour of Craig, K9CT's contest station, and just amazing. Very cool guy, and he did a forum on Pitcairn while I was there. We'll talk a little bit more about Peoria Superfest. We're going to talk about the Milwaukee Superfest coming up, too, in a little bit. But first, let's head up to my north a little bit to Jackson, Mississippi, and see what's on George's mind.
Well, there's a lot of things on it, Don. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. As a matter of fact, too many to solve them all. So we just kind of skirt around the edges there and keep it in the road. No, actually, I'm working on a new kit here myself, Don. You mentioned Joe and kits. This is a 35 kilowatt amplifier kit. It's tube type. I just need to find, Gordo, if you'll keep an eye out, I know you go to the flea markets early. I need a 10 kilovolt at 4 amp transformer. If you can get me that, I'm in business.
Yeah, I'll just pick one up and bring it out. No problem at all. Probably only weighs 20, 30 pounds, right?
Yeah, I wish. Anyway, I'll be back later in the show tonight. I've got a project that I did back in December. I don't think we've seen it here on Ham Nation yet. It was a lot of fun. It's a little Arduino project, but it's ham radio related as well, or it could be, but I had a blast with it. So I hope you'll hang around and enjoy that. Don?
Oh, very good. Awesome. Can't wait for that. Speaking of kits, I want to show you something just real quick while we're here at the top of the show with projects. I did the kit build at Peoria with Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, the Cat in the Hat from Hamvention, and also the CQ Magazine kit building editor. He does these kit builds periodically, and the one that we did is a little kit from QRP Kits. It's called the Wart Tamer. What this is it is a regulated power supply. Essentially, it's variable, and it's got a full wave rectifier, so you can go AC in or DC in, and it's got a small little trimmer pot right here. But that's not it. The trimmer pot is here. Trimmer pot's on the other side. Little trimmer pot right here. So you could easily mount this in a little box, and put a regular potentiometer on there to go all the way down to 1.5 volts, or up to, in this case, 17 volts, because what's driving it is a 20 volt power supply from a is this Dell? Whatever it is, a laptop power supply. Goes right into the front of this, and so this makes a great little bench supply. If you need a little variable bench supply, low current, obviously, 1.5 amps maybe at best, but really, really nice. And what's neat about this kit is these leads can go either radially or axially. If you can look there, you can see where the pads are. So the capacitors can be mounted radially or axially, depending on how you want to build the kit. Very cool. It's from QRPKits.com. It's called the Wart Tamer. Very worth your while to build. It took us probably about an hour to do for the whole class to do it, and just had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun up in Peoria. Thanks to the folks at the Peoria Superfest for taking good care of me and bringing me up there. Gordo, we just had a great time. So tell us what's going on in your world, and then just go jumping right on into your short shots.
Roger that. Well, we had a great past weekend that we'll show you some short shots on. But before we do, this coming weekend, not quite the DX that Val has been working, but it's a California QSO party. And we hope all of you will have an opportunity to work the California QSO party, because Devin Day, KF6KEE, Lady Extraordinaire Instructor for several different schools. Her Sato Academy and McBride schools will be on the air, their ham radio clubs, for this weekend's California event. So think of KF6KEE. Those kids will really get a big kick out of it. Well, I'm wearing my ham instructor patch from the W5YI group, and we encourage you, Elmers and ham instructors, to sign up at www.haminstructor.com, because one of the things we mentioned is doing a demo for your beginner class, and you meet up with someone on a repeater. Yeah, George, Gordo here in Costa Mesa. Where are you located? Beep. And they come back and they say, well, Gordo, we're located in Bronx, New York. And I'll tell you, your kids will absolutely jump out of their seats. The adults will jump out of their seats with this great demonstration that is part of our haminstructor.com list of neat demos. But how does New York come through? Well, let's take a look and see what went on this past weekend for IRLP, Internet Radio Linking Project. Victor? That's Shorty, K6JSI. He is a legend. He is doing well, and he developed the Western Intertie system, the WIN network, and that is based on IRLP and getting signals into a reflector down in Texas that go literally around the world to those stations tied into the WIN system setup. So Shorty is still active on it, but now leadership of the WIN system is Steve and his lovely wife, Karen, Steve K6UFX. And he says, every year we'd like to get together our WIN system controllers and WIN system local active users and anyone else that wants to come out to SoCal and learn about how we do our repeaters and how we get things tied into the WIN system. So we met at a small resort in Pechanga, the Pechanga Casino. When we got there on Wednesday, Thursday, and a little bit of Friday, it looked like a ghost town. Holy smoly. Pechanga from Friday afternoon through Sunday was packed. But it was packed with a lot of ham operators, too, wanting to take part of the WIN system. Well, we encourage everyone, as Ken does, AF6 Sierra Papa, who works up getting all the right badges to the right people, that if you're holding a get-together, get everybody with a badge. It encourages others that are from the outside to see, oh, you're part of the WIN system, and they can learn about joining up. And so badges are important. It was a casual event before all the 100-plus hams came in, and that's Steve taking his early morning, or was it late evening? Actually, it was both times hot water soaking, Steve, K6UFX, thanks for your leadership. And yes, he was a good ground plane, making it to one of the local WIN system hotspots right here. Well, part of the WIN system get-together is working over the repeaters, and they took us completely through how they set up the repeaters all the way down to pin level. And these are the latest of the Motorola repeaters, and they had the very latest of test equipment. And again, this is all for free. These hams just put in their support of the WIN system absolutely free. In fact, they all pay their $10 a month dues, and they have just become the strongest supporters because nothing beats a great demo, especially when it comes from another station out of the area. The WIN system repeaters are all professionally put together by several of the WIN system experts. And as you can see, they're all set for rack mount. And as they go in there, that is Steve talking about the power amplifier. And he says, we have the capability of running up to about 100, 110 watts on UHF. But he says, I like to keep the power amp relatively cool. So he drops it down to about 80 watts out. And he can do almost anything from his home via touch tones, as well as to an inside computer network to get everything rolling up at the repeater sites. But as you'll see a little bit later on, sometimes it takes a direct visit. Now, if you've not tuned into the WIN system on Friday at, Friday at 7 o'clock California time, 8, 9, and 10 to our east, that is Steve, N5ZUA, who is the net control operator. And on Friday nights, wherever they set up, and here it is in the other Steve's motorhome, and you can see a lot of the WIN system members all tuned in and listening. We have a wonderful tech net that begins in the evening on all of the WIN system tied-in repeaters, conducted by Steve, N5ZUA. He's got all sorts of extra guests on board including Ron and myself and others that help out with questions that people will ask on the air. Then it goes to a swap net, and then real late at night, it goes into the insomnia net. Again, you can tune this all in, and you need to go to the Wind System website to see how you can do it, even on your own computer for listening. Now, we had some great demonstrations of a real partner of the Wind System, and that is All-Star. And that is one of the developers of the Radio Thin client module. And he was showing off a lot of different modules because the very latest in technology, of course, are the dongles and the hotspots. And he had all of that equipment there, and he was doing demos. And, of course, doing demos, you got to eat, and that's Brian in the background, W7BNW, with Chuck, N6GYY, one of the top Wind officials that constantly monitors and was in charge of and is in charge of a lot of different things, and in this case, hamburgers and hot dogs. But it was a hard act to follow, Chuck, because on Thursday night when we got in, we had 2-inch steaks that Steve, K6UFX, brought, along with a huge tray of salmon, as well as chicken. It was tough to have to go down to hamburgers, but those hamburgers were pretty darn good. But it was a tough one after the great breakfast, dinner, and lunch that we all had earlier. There's Suze in the center getting ready to make sure that all of the food is just as yummy as we thought it would. And these ladies, not Scott in the background, these ladies are there, and we're constantly brewing up a storm. And thank heaven they kept everything in order. And that's Scott scratching his head going, wow, how did they do that? And it was a real team effort. But, you know, it's really neat to have that nice room where they had all of the Wind System folks meeting at. The room was large enough that we could conduct our own amateur radio examinations, and we had several go from general to extra and one go from tech to general. So it was a fun exam session, and there again is one of our lovely ladies that really made sure that all of the food was right up and rolling. So thanks to the ladies for making things happen. Now this is Mike, KI6ITV. Mike is saying, if there's a tower, I will climb it. He is the tower climber. And everybody looks to Mike for going up there and doing adjustments. And he knows no fear, but he's got the very latest tower climbing gear. And KI6ITV, Mike is always monitoring the Wind System in case someone has questions about towers or things like that. And there's Scott, Scott Farthing, K6IXQ. Scott is one of the regular monitors, and he does that via keyboard on the Wind System to keep all of the incoming all in a row and all worked up great. And Scott was there to give us all sorts of tips on working the repeaters and how to work the Wind System for those folks that were fairly new on the scene. And the Quantar is the specific repeaters that almost all of Shorty's Wind System and Steve's Wind System repeaters use. There's a lot of other repeaters that tie into it via All-Star and other IRLP ways. And we encourage all of you to go to the windsystem.org, and that's WIN, windsystem.org, and look for yourself at the pages and pages of repeaters. And they give specific instructions that, well, there's no Wind System repeater in my neck of the woods. It says, well, wait a minute, hang on. Here's how you can look up an IRLP repeater in your area, get a hold of that repeater trustee or manager, and see if they'll allow you to tie into the Wind System. So all of the information is www.winsystem.org. And, yep. They get all the way down to board level or pin level. And, you know, while this looks pretty straightforward, Have you tried to solder one of those with tiny little 174 or even smaller coax cable without shorting one pin out to another? There's a real art, and Chuck and others were showing us how to do it. And I think every one of us learned a great deal by the hands-on during this 4-day get-together of the Wind System main control operators. And this is the backside of what it looks like before they drop all of this into the repeater racks. And the Wind System is tough to keep on the air because each one of the mountaintops, $250, please pay in advance, and that's $250 a month. So we encourage all of you to help support those Wind System setups. But you don't necessarily have to be a member or dues paying to give it a try. In fact, that's what Shorty, K6 JSI, and Steve, K6 UFX says. Give it a try. Make a few contacts and then see if you would like to support us, because by supporting the Wind System at $10 a month, you're helping support what us hams are putting in on it to keep it rolling 24 hours a day all over the country. Wind System experts are also good in T-hunting. That's the Australian receiver. And that's a fun little receiver from Australia because as you get closer to the hidden fox, the tone goes up and up and up, and then it starts over again going up and up and up until you get right on it. And there's Scott way in the background. He's going, geez, at 6 o'clock, I wonder where I should be. Well, he's back there watching everything happening with T-hunting. And we had some great T-hunters following the W7 B&W homebrew tees. Some of them come from Bion, the Bionics. Here was one, the hidden T was buried in a bush. Boy, people had a hard time figuring that one out. And another T, and that's Lee Place. Lee says, oh, boy, it's got to be around here somewhere. He was fishing around for the hidden T down that drain hole, and he goes, oh, wait a minute. It's probably underneath this piece of wood. And it was. So he did a great job. But these are the kind of fun things that get people involved in coming to a little get-together of radio operators. And very strong supporting of the Wind System are those that operate Motorcycle Mobile. And this is the Motorcycle Amateur Radio Club. And very soon, I hope to have one of them with a great description of how they've mounted their radios, their antennas, and everything else on those motorcycles. It's a real work of art to get everything squeezed in. Let me tell you, that Goldwing was a real work of art just to hear all the audio. Well, there's Scott. He's found himself again, and he's working with Dave, and he's going to be having a prize drawing. And, you know, prize drawings are another great way to keep folks staying until not necessarily the bitter end, but at least good throughout the club meeting. And everybody indeed was staying because they all had an investment. And as you can see, as we were going through the tickets, Dave, who works with our Southern California local Wind System team in Orange County, always does a fabulous job. Everybody dutifully put their call sign on the back of the tags, and bingo, we have a winner. Look at that smile. And, of course, he picked the first prize, which was the Yazoo transceiver. But there was a lot of other great prizes at all. Well, I was invited, but Susan and I had alternate engagements. I was invited to go for a little truck ride up to the top of one of our local peaks where we have the Wind System transmitter receiver, and it's a very rough dirt road. And let me tell you, I think I forget how many horsepower this had, 800 or 900, that's right, horsepower. When they fired that up, the entire RV park turned around to look, going, my goodness, what in the world is that? Well, I have no fear that those that went on Sunday to the top of the mountain, 5,280 feet, made it up there in grand style. So next time you're at a ham fest, could be East Coast, West Coast, or wherever, and you see representatives of the WIN system, I hope all of you will go ahead and support them. And again, you don't have to pay $10 a month just to use it now and then for a demonstration. But if you're a regular, as I try and do on a regular basis, we encourage all of you to get started with playing with a WIN system. And we always recommend, after you make contact on a WIN system repeater, and the other person says, well, Gordo, where are you located? Before squeezing the button, count to about 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Gordo here, and give your location and so on. But it takes about 3 seconds for the 70-plus repeaters throughout the country to all reset to hear the other side of the conversation. So if someone says, what time is it? Don't say a word for about 3 seconds, and then come on. So look up winsystem.org. Find a local WIN system in your area, or maybe get on so you can hear the audio on your computer of a WIN system IRLP unit and have fun. It's all done by us hams for free, and we have huge expenses, mainly due to the mountaintop locations every month, as well as the equipment. And again, the website is easy to navigate to, and wow, Mike and those that climb towers, that's what it looks like when you get up there. And there's our local one here in Southern California. And as you can see, the WIN system is right up there with the big boys. And it takes a lot of filters, a lot of duplexers, and a lot of other ingenious devices to keep the WIN system humming. So be a WIN system supporter as I am. And now let's go over to Dawn and see what's happening in the world of Dawn. I won't be here next week. I'll be working with the Coast Guard Auxiliary and doing some training for them and the Coast Guard on radio. Dawn, over to you.
All right, Gordo, we'll miss you next week. I won't be here either. It's the annual Cruising the Coast car show, and so we always do that.
Fun.
So that's what I'll be doing. Yeah, Wednesday night. We'll head over towards Biloxi, Mississippi for Cruising the Coast. Well, I just got back last week. I wasn't here last week because it was our wedding anniversary, and my wife and I went out to dinner, so we had a great time. We missed all of you guys. But the weekend before that, I was in Peoria, Illinois at the Peoria Superfest. Had a great time. Just really, really cool ham fest. Thanks to all the people up there for having me. But that wasn't the only Superfest going on. There's a Superfest up in Milwaukee as well. And Dan in 9LVS was there, and we've got a little video sneak peek from him.
Welcome to HRO Superfest 2019 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Right away on Saturday morning, Bob Heil gave a forum on audio. Right after that, Howard Mitchell, WB2IXT, CEO of the ARRL, gave a forum on the American Radio Relay League. Back in the store, things were getting pretty busy, but the store was fully stocked and looking good. This is HRO's biggest store, and of course, has most of the books on amateur radio, including the periodicals. They also have a lot of radios, including ICOM, Yazoo, and Kenwood, as well as MFJ, and diamond antennas. There's a real nice display of Heil Sound products. And let's not forget the demo area, one of the largest demo areas anywhere. There's a lot of different cables as well, from small little jumpers to the big stuff. Everything from RG8 to hardline, to a wide variety of connectors. Needless to say, the store was busy, and the staff was really working hard. In the back of the store were the vendor displays. ICOM was showing off the 7300 and the brand new 9700, as well as the 7851 and the 7700. They also had a great display of all their VHF and UHF radios as well. Yazoo had a very nice display as well, showing off all their VHF and UHF radios, as well as their HF radios, including the DX3000 and the 5000 MP. West Mountain Radio was there as well, showing off their West Mountain Radio products, everything from A to Z. And Cable Experts was there with their wide variety of cables. Bob Heil was also there in his booth, showing off the parametric receive system, as well as the Pineboard project. In RT Systems, if you want an easy way to program a radio, RT Systems is the way to go. And MFJ had a huge display for their immense product line. Everything from a 24-hour clock to an antenna rotor. MFJ has it. And Gold Medal Ideas. If you need a hat or a shirt, check out Gold Medal Ideas. Larson Antenna was also there, showing off their VHF and UHF antennas, as well as Compact Antenna and Diamond Antenna with their Stealth Antenna. And as far as antennas go, you can't forget radio waves. As far as power goes, PowerWorks was there, as well as BioNO batteries. From the RRL, not only did the CEO, Howard Mitchell, WB2 ITX, show up, but members of the ARRL staff showed up as well, to a very nice booth. The Young Ladies Radio League had a nice little setup here, as well as the Milwaukee Repeater Club. The Wisconsin Amateur Radio Club had a pretty nice display as well. And the Racine Aries group showed up with their emergency communications trailer. And the Red Cross had a nice little Go Kit set up. The Milwaukee Area Amateur Radio Society had a nice little display of the coverage of the different repeaters. And W9 BLS, Barry, had his communications trailer set up as well. And W9 FRG had a very cool kit display. And that's Superfest 2019. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin, this is Dan, N9LVS 73.
Thank you, sir. Always a treat to have Dan's video presentations. That looks like a nice ham fist. Going to have to put that on my bucket list one of these days. Why don't we go ahead and get a word in from ICOM, and then we'll see what George has got going on with Smoke and Solder.
Heard it, worked it, logged it. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Make the most out of contest season with one of these ICOMs today. IC7610, the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The ICOM IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of a SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling, 110 RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. Or get the IC7300. Changing the way entry-level HF is designed, this high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Keep your competitive edge with faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. ICOM's IC7851 is the pinnacle of HF perfection. Dual receivers, digital IF filters, memory keyer, digital voice recorder, high-resolution spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and SD memory card slot. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great ICOM radios.
And ICOM invites you to enter weekly after each episode of Ham Nation by going to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation and registering for the weekly swag prize drawing, great t-shirts and hats, and lots of other goodies they stuff in the box there. And you'll automatically be entered in the grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for October, that new radio is the ICOM ID4100A entry-level D-Star Mobile with big rig features. VHF, UHF dual band mobile, one band at a time. It's got built-in GPS, DV and FM near repeater search function, a micro SD card slot for voice and data storage, It supports terminal mode and access point mode, and there's downloadable Android and iOS apps available. So go to icomamerica.com/HamNation after this in each episode and register to win. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow ICOM America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And tonight for Smoke and Solder, I've got a project that, I originally did this past December. If we've seen it here before, I apologize. After, the first 500 shows or so, it's hard to kind of keep them separated as to what occurred where. But I don't believe we've seen this here yet. And this was one of my favorite projects last year. It combines a lot of the things I really like: amateur radio, Arduinos, programming, and a little bit of hardware as well. So let's take a look at it. Last month on Amateur Logic, I built a project using a DTMF decoder board and an Arduino and a couple of relays and a few miscellaneous components. I could send a DTMF pound with a handy talkie, and that would cause one relay to key, and the Arduino would generate a tone, which was transmitted back so that I could get a confirmation on whether I had turned on or turned off the relay. This month, we're going to greatly exceed what I did there. We're using a lot of the same circuitry. All of this on this side remains the same. I've changed everything that's on this side over here and added a little bit to it. The first thing I did was remove the filter circuit that I had on the tone. I no longer have all those capacitors and resistors in there. You can see I've added a 10K pot, and I've added an LM34 temperature sensor chip here as well. Let's look at the schematic and see exactly what's changed. As I mentioned, everything on this side of the project is the same as it was last month. Go back and review that to learn how all that works and how it's connected. Our changes are, instead of the tone filter that we had over here, now I've got a 1 microfarad capacitor that's feeding audio into the mic jack. And I've added a 10K ohm pot down here that runs over to a power supply. And if you follow that out, you can see that's going in analog 0 of the Arduino there. And I've added this LM34 temperature sensor that is feeding over to A1 analog input on the Arduino. The rest is the same. So what's so different this month? To start with, I'm not using the tones for confirmation anymore. I've got the Arduino using a voice library that's actually giving me vocal feedback on what's going on. And since I've got that extra capability, I decided to add a few more things to the project. The 10K pot here, what this is going to do is measure the power supply voltage for me. I had to knock down that 13 volts to something less than 5 volts that the Arduino could read. 10K pot worked great for that. And I've added in the LM34 temperature sensor here as another analog input, just feeding 5 volts into it. And it'll give me a readout of the temperature in the room or wherever I position the temperature sensor. Of course, we've still got the light bulb here. I'm running it off our 12-volt supply. Let's see what the project does now. The first thing that's going to be different is you can't just start punching in tones. You've got to send a password in there. So I send any tone, and it's going to tell me it wants authentication.
Time out. Enter security pass.
All right, so I've got a 3-digit password in it. I'll enter that.
Ready.
Now it's ready. I've got a choice of several commands here. If I send a 1,
W5JDX.
Now all this is being done with no extra hardware as far as the microcontroller is concerned. The Arduino is generating the voice there as well, so no extra cost for that. If I send a 2,
the temperature is 72.26 degrees.
And that's about right, 72 degrees in here. If I send a 3,
the power level is 13.71 volts.
13.71 volts. Pretty close.
I adjusted the pot there to get that exactly where it needed to be. That's a few things that have been added. What was already there is the star and the pound. Let me send a pound.
The machine is on.
And of course it turned on our light bulb or any kind of machine we wanted to hook to it. Our star will turn it off.
The machine is shut off.
So there we got a few more features now than we had in the previous version. Since I've got the voice feedback, that allowed me to do a little more than I probably would have attempted earlier. I've got the code written so that, well, it's pretty complete. You could do more to it. It will time out if you don't enter a command within a certain window, then it's going to ask for the password again. If your voltage changes on the power supply here, if it drops below a threshold,
W5JDX warning, the power level is 7.52 volts. The power level is 7.51 volts.
and it'll read it 3 times and delay before it repeats it again, so it's not constantly tying up the frequency. It will also reset itself if it goes back within the range that you had specified. It'll give you an overvoltage warning as well.
W5JDX warning, the power level is 16.6 volts. The power level is 16.6 volts. The power level is 16.6 volts.
So I think that's pretty neat. You know, you can get a reading of the power supply at your repeater site or wherever you might want to use this, or any kind of analog voltage that you wanted to sample. What about the temperature sensor? It seems like we could do something pretty cool with that.
Danger W5JDX. The radio is on fire.
So that's pretty much all I've got this doing at this point. You could add more to it. There's several more analog inputs left and several digital I/O left. You could even do serial commands to something with this. So pretty versatile, pretty flexible. Go download the code here, take a look at it. This was a really fun project. I would like to share the code with you, but that's probably going to be a little long to put in a segment here along with everything else. Maybe we'll look at it in the future. Go download it, have a look, do some experimenting yourself. And as I mentioned, that was my favorite project last year. It was a lot of fun putting together. It took me a little while to experiment with the code and get everything to work like I wanted it, but it's all there. If you want it, go to that link that we showed. You can download it and have fun with it, customize it for yourself. You know, these little microcontrollers, I've said this before, to me, it's like going to Radio Shack and buying parts for your project, except you don't have to go to Radio Shack. It's so much of it, all the logic, you can just program right into that little cheap device and pull off some amazing feats. You know, that whole thing was, I don't know, maybe $30 or so. And that's the beginning of a nice repeater controller if you wanted to turn it into one. Anyway, there it is. If you want it, go grab it, experiment with it, and let me know what you did. Well, Randy wants to know what you've been building. Send your information, photos please, no videos, along with a description to hamprojects@twit.tv, and we might see you in a future episode of Show Us Your Projects. You know, he has to collect these up for a while to get some good projects in there and get a good idea of what everyone's doing. So send your photos to Randy. He's waiting to hear from you, and we are too. hamprojects@twit.tv. And one other thing I want to mention tonight, we talked about the ICOM contest a little earlier. Well, that's not the only ICOM radio that's being given away right now. I've got another one here that we mentioned last week. It's the IC 7300.
Amateur Logic, my other show, is celebrating 14 years in the middle of October. And we've got a giveaway there thanks to ICOM, MFJ, and Heil Sound. We've put together a nice little prize package that I think you will enjoy. Just go to amateurlogic.tv/contest, and you can get all the details right there. The grand prize, of course, is the ICOM IC 7300 radio. It's a great software-defined radio by ICOM. It's an entry-level radio, they say. It is certainly by the price, but features, no. It's got almost everything you could want on it. Real-time spectrum scope, just all kinds of features, and nothing else in that price range really competes with it. Really a game changer there. Of course, you're going to need an antenna to go with that as well. So for that, we've got an MFJ Cobweb antenna, the MFJ 1836H Cobweb antenna. This particular model covers 20 meters through 6 meters. There's also a version that covers 40 meters through 6 meters. This is actually my antenna right here that I bring out every year at field day or anytime I've got to do some portable ops. It goes together real quick and is an excellent performer on multiple bands. It tuned up great, so you really don't need much of a tuner with it. It's it's just a fantastic little antenna in a very compact space. And you may want a microphone to go with that too, because it comes with a hand mic, of course, but you might want to use it as a base station. And boy, what better mic could you want than the Heil ICM? This is the new ICM BK model with black and gold trim here. It has a push-to-talk button built in it. The element is especially designed for ICOM radios. It's got a little more gain than a regular microphone, so perfect match for ICOM rigs. It comes with the connector already installed to fit your ICOM HF rig. And there's another connector here where you can plug in a foot switch or a hand key or whatever you'd like to use as push-to-talk if you don't want to use the built-in push-to-talk right here on the microphone. The Heil ICM, a great match for just about any ICOM rig. And you're going to need coax. We're going to throw in 100 foot of MFJ-RG 8X coax. And one additional prize is going to be the MFJ 148RC radio control clock, a 12 or 24-hour display, 2 simultaneous displays. I set mine up to show my local time as well as universal time coordinated, and that's the 2 times I'm interested in, is Central and UTC. There's a backlight built into it, so you can see it easily at night. And there's a 10-minute ID timer button here that you can tap, and every 10 minutes it'll give you a beep to let you know it's time to identify your station. And, of course, you might only be a technician. You might not be a general, which you're going to want to be to operate that rig, or you may want to upgrade to an extra, or if you're already an extra, maybe you want to help a friend get into the hobby. There's no better way to do it than with Gordon West study guides. We all know Gordo here on the show, but he really writes some great information to help you get licensed. I don't know how many thousands of people have used these study guides to get their amateur radio licenses. It's the best out there by far, not just the question and answers, but also a detailed explanation of the questions as well as fun facts and why the right answer is really the right answer. Thanks to Gordon West Radio School and W5YI.org for supplying that. And then one final thing we're going to throw in. This is the Holy Grail here. This is the official Amateur Logic faux gold PL259 connectors. Tommy had 2 pair left that he had stashed personally. I got him to cough up a pair right here, and we're going to throw these into the package. We don't recommend you use them on your coax. They're strictly for decorative purposes, and they really match this Heil microphone here nice. So if you want to win that, well, here's what you need to do. Go to amateurlogic.tv/contest. Get all the details right there. You do need to be a licensed U.S. or Canadian ham. All the details are at this website, though. It's real easy. Go there if you have not already registered. You can only register once, so don't do it a second time. But thanks to ICOM, MFJ, Heil, and Gordo for making this possible. It's really, well, I don't know. It's a lot of fun to celebrate 14 years of doing a program here, and Amateur Logic's where it all started for me, and it's still going. So we're having fun there, and I hope you'll join us and celebrate our 14th anniversary next month and enter in that contest, because somebody's going to win that radio. Well, now Don is here with some information for us of where you can find some great amateur radio products, as well as, well, you know, Don's the man with all the news.
That's true, George. That's true. Congratulations on 14 years. I have a question. Those PL259s, are those genuine faux gold?
Yes, certified genuine faux gold right here. You know, you just can't pick these up at Walmart or at the corner drugstore. These are hard to come by.
Yeah. Those would make lovely earrings, I think, George. Perhaps you should work on that. Maybe I think what we should do is we should dig out that old evergreen video of Jim, your friend Jim. You remember your friend Jim with the blowtorch, and bring that back for the 14th birthday anniversary shindig soiree throwdown.
Well, we should. You know, Tommy promised that he was going to make a nose ring out of one of these, but he has not yet. So
no, you ruined it. You just completely and totally ruined it for me at that point. All right, thank you, George. You know, we're very lucky to have DX Engineering as a partner with us here at Ham Nation. Although they sell almost everything, I don't think they have genuine faux gold PL259s. Now, they have silver-plated and Teflon and everything, but genuine faux gold, now that's just can't get that anywhere. One of the things, however, that does separate DX Engineering from other amateur radio retailers is the fact that they have their own team of engineers constantly working on innovative new ideas designed to make life easier for Joe Average ham operator, and even Joe, way above average ham radio operator. Today, we're excited to introduce some of their latest products, DX Engineering telescopic fiberglass tubing and cam lock clamp kits. These are perfect for fast and hassle-free deployment of an antenna mast, like that Cobweb that George showed you, whether you're operating in the field or testing an antenna in your backyard. And each of these telescopic fiberglass pieces of tubing and cam lock clamp kits is made for fast antenna mast deployment, easy transport, simple adjustments, reliable performance. They come with finely finished, high-quality, pull-truded fiberglass tubing. Yes, I said pull-truded. Google that. Featuring a nominal 0.120-inch wall thickness, offering strength, durability, and smooth telescoping action. Now, depending on the kit, the tubing is collapsible for either 4 or 7.5 feet for easy storage, convenient loading in a vehicle, and reduced shipping costs. They have 4 tubing options for you to choose from. 4 48-inch telescope sections extending up to 15 feet. 7 48-inch telescope sections extending to 25 feet. 7 90-inch telescope sections extending to 46 feet with standard 2-inch OD base section. And 7 90-inch telescope sections extending to 46 feet with heavy-duty 3-inch OD base section. These new kits uniquely feature cam lock clamps that firmly secure each section in place. There's a lever on each clamp that can be released to allow for fast and simple extension or collapsing of the above mast section. When closed, the lever firmly keeps the tubing from moving up or down. A 3mm Allen wrench is included for accurate clamp adjustments, and each kit comes with a vinyl cap for covering the top section, keeping rain and varmints and bird poo out. I don't know. Just came to mind. DX Engineering shops faster than anybody else in the industry. They ship, that is, faster than anybody else in the industry. Most orders placed by 10 p.m. Eastern are shipped the same day with proven products and expert advice. DX Engineering is truly helping you shrink the globe. Request your catalog or shop online 24/7 at dxengineering.com/HamNation. And we do thank DX Engineering for their support of Ham Nation. And they have snazzy-looking shirts as well. Let's check out the news of the week and the solar report from Tamer the Scove and Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2187. These are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019. Good news for U.S. amateurs wishing to operate in Australia. The Australian regulator is renewing the reciprocal license agreement between the two nations.
In April 2019, the Australian Communications and Media Authority placed a hold on the issuing of reciprocal licences for US hams. The ACMA recently announced reinstatement of reciprocity for holders of approved equivalent US licence classes who wish to operate for as long as 12 months. Those wishing to operate longer must pass the Australian Amateur Radio Regulations exam. The ACMA's long-awaited review of licence conditions has just been announced. Entry-level foundation licence holders are no longer restricted from operating digital modes or with homebrew equipment. All classes of licence may operate all modes. HF mode bandwidth restrictions have been relaxed, with a bandwidth of up to 8 kHz allowed. But the 630 and 2200 metre bands retain a maximum bandwidth of 2.1 kHz. Geographic restrictions are to be implemented for the use of the shared 3.6 GHz band. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jason Daniels, VK2LAW.
If you wanted to be part of this summer's CPAC workshop in Oregon, you still can. Just do it online.
Hams who were unable to attend this year's CPAC, the Northwestern Division Convention of the ARRL, can still benefit from the discussions they missed during the 3-day gathering this summer in Oregon. Visit the website seapac.org and view Power and Communication When Everything Goes Dark, a workshop which was recently uploaded for viewing. The workshop was led by Mark Brakey, KB7RHI, Delvin Bunton, NS7U, and Karen Trumbull, KE7NYH. Meanwhile, the committee is already organizing next year's event, which will be held from June 5th through the 7th at the Seaside Convention Center, which has been newly renovated. The guest speaker will be cardiologist Scott Wright, K0MD, of Rochester, Minnesota, editor of the ARRL National Contest Journal. Meanwhile, catch up on the proceedings from this past summer and make your plans to attend next year. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Andy Morrison, K9AWM.
Top honors are being given out by the Radio Club of America this autumn.
A number of radio amateurs are among those being honored by the Radio Club of America as recipients of the group's 2019 awards. They include Ham Nation's own Bob Heil, K9EID, who is being given the Alfred H. Grebe Award for Excellence in Engineering and Manufacturing of Radio Equipment, Barton F. Jew, K5FLU, owner of MFJ Enterprises, who is receiving the Barry Goldwater Amateur Radio Award for his contributions to ham radio, Henry Richter, W6VZA, who is receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award, which recognizes significant achievements that have advanced the art and science of wireless technology, and George R. Stoll, WA0KBT, who is the recipient of the Fred M. Link Award for his achievements in land mobile radio communications. Ham's also numbered among the RCA Fellows named, having been nominated for the honor by the membership. A list of all recipients this year and in previous years can be found at radioclubofamerica.org. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jack Parker, W8ISH.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, Andy Morrison, K9AWM, Jack Parker, W8ISH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now,
Here's the solar update with Dr. Tamer Skov, WX6 SWW.
Space weather this week continues to calm down a bit from that big solar storm that we had last week that brought aurora down to mid-latitudes, but just barely. As we switch to our front side sun, you can see that big coronal hole rotating off of the sun's west limb. That's the coronal hole that brought us the fast wind that gave us the solar storm. But guess what? We have yet another coronal hole in the middle of the disk right now. That one in the southern hemisphere is going to be rotating into the Earth strike zone here in the next couple days, and it could get us up to about active conditions, but I doubt it's going to bump us to solar storm levels. Now, also, if we look at the very far the east limb, you can also see a bright region rotating into Earth view. This region has been giving a little bit of pop, pop, pop with the little tiny solar flares here and there, but nothing too substantial. As we switch to our backside sun, you can actually see that it's actually been part of a whole cluster of active regions. As a matter of fact, we had 2 active regions that ended up fizzling out before they rotated into Earth view, and then a whole cluster of other ones came into view, but this one has managed to stay robust. It's now gotten a new designation, so we have a sunspot on the Earth-facing sun, and it's no longer a spotless sun. It has boosted the solar flux just a little bit, but not enough to get us into marginal radio propagation just yet, but we are watching it. And now for your Leo, Meo Geo Orbit Outlook. You can imagine with this big solar storm that we're coming down from, it's kind of left the near-Earth environment a bit rattled. As we switch to our low-energy particle environment, these are the particles that can cause surface charging on the surface of the spacecraft, including the solar arrays, that then can discharge and cause shorts and all sorts of electrical disturbances. You can see around the 28th and 29th, the fluxes in and around the geo orbits really start building up, and they kind of swirl around and last for a few days before things begin to really quiet down and they get flushed. So the satellite operators, the surface charging is an issue for you, especially around the geo orbits. For more details on this week's space weather, including when and where to see aurora and what that new bright region is doing, come check out my channel or see me at spaceweatherwoman.com.
Thank you, Dr. T. Be sure and check her out on Twitter. She's a great follow, and she has a Patreon page, too, that helps her do what she does for us. So if you feel so inclined, go check out her Patreon page, too. SpaceWeatherWoman.com and Twitter, the best places to find out exactly what's going on with Dr. Tamer Skov and what's going on with the sun. Let's talk about websites for a sec. This episode of Ham Nation brought to you by Hover. What Hover is a jumping-off point for entrepreneurs, and if you want to start your own business with a domain name, for instance. Hover has over 300 domain name extensions to choose from when building your brand online, no matter what you want to build. There's a domain name waiting for you. If, for instance, you want to start your own amateur radio show, go to hover.com/twit. Check out some of the domain names. They have amateurradio.tech, for instance, hamradio.engineer. There are a whole lot more. And if you're a designer or creative professional, you can use .design instead of using a generic .com or .biz domain to showcase your passion for design. You'll find excellent technical support available to answer any questions you might have, and their support team never, ever upsells you. They only work hard to get you online, and that's what they do, help you get online. Hover has a free Whois privacy protection, clean and easy to navigate UX UI, monthly sales on popular top-level domains, too. Keeping your domain name separate from hosting gives you the flexibility to choose the right platform for your business. Nobody wants to be stuck with a solution that doesn't meet their needs. And believe me, with the clean interface and all the features that Hover offers you and their top-notch customer service, you're going to love it. Make a name for yourself with Hover. Visit hover.com/twit. You get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. That's hover.com/twit, HOVER.com/twit. 10% off your domain extension for a full year, and we do thank Hover for their support of Ham Nation. Time now to see what's going on in the chat room, and we have Amanda for that.
That is what I'm here for, isn't it? Right?
Among other things. That way, you just generally look pretty. But you're so much more than a pretty face, obviously.
I want to talk about another pretty face, Val. It was so nice to have her on tonight, was it not? It was great. Nice to see you, Val. And chat room, if you were happy, just say yes. All right. Another announcement I had. So if you worked WW0 WWV this weekend, you were not the only one. I'm telling you what, they put on a heck of a special event station, and I think their final tally was about 10,600 contacts. All right. So they ended that at about 6 p.m. tonight. And Jeff and I were privileged enough to go out there and visit, and operated for a couple hours on Sunday afternoon, and we had a blast. So thanks WW0WWV for letting us out there. And by the way, when you're running a pileup and you have to say that call sign numerous times, it's a real tongue twister. All right. I'm not even kidding. I flubbed it up so many times, I can't even tell you. So Gordo, this is kind of the Gordo show with the questions. Gordo, Jeff and I live over 5,300 feet. So when you say you had to take out a Ford truck to climb up to 5280, we're like, that wasn't serious. What do you think?
Well, you've got big hills out there. Here on the flatlands, a 5,000-foot hill is like, whoa, where'd that come from? And there's no paved road. It's only a very washed out dirt road that our wind system experts had to navigate. And, well, I've not heard officially back from them. I do know that one big truck probably had no problem, just like getting to your place as well, Amanda and Jeff and Dog.
Oh yeah, we've had some problems, and in fact, one of our repeater sites, and I was going to send Victor. I'm so sorry, I don't know where that came from. We were going to send Victor some pictures, but basically, we have a wildland fire going on here, and it's endangering one of our repeater sites. And we had this pretty gruesome photo last night before the power got cut off. But this is an IR camera, so things look. When there's a fire and there's a little bit of brightness, it looks like fireballs. But it was right next to our repeater site. And it's not just our repeater site. This is a state DTR site. There's a radio station out there. And obviously BLM and Forest Service are also on this site. And it looks gruesome. So we don't know what the status of that site is, but it's at about 11,000 feet or so, and we have no idea what's going on. But it's about 3,700 acres right now, and about 110 homes are evacuated. So, and it's the county next to us. It's in Chaffee County mostly. It did spread over to Fremont County, which is the county that we live in, and about 10 homes were evacuated from there. So we're here to assist our emergency manager and our incident management team. But we do have a Type 1 team coming in tomorrow to nip this in the bud. So, and it's crazy how far out these our fire weather season is anymore. So, we don't think October is wildfire around here in Colorado, but anymore it is. All right, Gordo, I have several questions for you. So here's the next one. Mike W1 MWB wanted to know, does the wind system have any DMR or Yazoo system fusion connections, or is it all analog?
No, that was one of the discussions. And they said, well, individual wind operators may make the connection over to digital systems. Most of what you hear on the wind system is FM analog. And it doesn't mean that we don't embrace the digital fusion and D-Star and DMR. It's just that the wind system, especially for those wanting to get started with their little FM handheld, makes it so convenient. So occasionally you will hear a digital station come on to a linking station into the wind system, but most of it is analog FM.
Absolutely. The next question I had was, how many people does it take to maintain the system? How many people all year long?
Okay, that's a great question. And that was one of the discussions. Usually there's a team of 5 to 10 for large mountaintop repeaters, each with their own skills that can climb towers, or a coax skill, or taking the repeaters out of the rack and working them over. So 5 to 10, Many of the wind systems, though, are on private property and folks' homes that live high on a hill. And these are usually the technical ham that will buy their own repeater. And working with a wind system, they say exactly what you're looking for a good wind system connection. And, of course, they're running computer to get into the internet 24/7. That's a 1 or 2 person operation. But for the big hilltops, it takes usually a group anywhere from 5 to 10. Yet, I know there are some hilltops out there where wind system specific individuals live and breathe the wind system, as well as all of the other repeaters, including DMR repeaters up on these towers, and they make regular visits. And you know what it's like to go visit a repeater site up on a hill, right?
Yes, we do very well. And weather is a big factor. But gosh, there's so many things. And help. You can't do this alone. You can't go up to these sites by yourself. If you're over 10,000 feet, altitude can be a big factor. So you want just anybody to be there as a support system. And I do have one other question, Gordo. So I do see that the wind system has embraced All-Star, which is great. My next question is, you never really discussed what repeaters most people are using. Is everything, I'm going to guess it's not standard. Everybody kind of uses their own setup.
That is true, although they have guidelines. And in the next few weeks, I'll bring Scott, one of our wind system experts, here to the shack. And I made a note of that. I've written it down here. And Amanda, I'll come up with even a more concrete answer as to who is using what type of gear and what the most popular systems are, although I know the Motorola repeaters just keep going and going. But it doesn't mean that the good old GE Master Pros have not done a huge job consistently over the last 20 to 25 years on a mountaintop.
Got that right. We have, Jeff could answer this better than me, but we have several Master 3s in service right now. And the biggest thing is that we blow PAs on them all the time. And the PAs are getting harder and harder to find. Wouldn't you find that to be true as well, Gordo?
Yes, that was one of the considerations of taking down the Master Pros, the GEs, and all of the other great products that you find in commercial vehicles, putting them on a repeater with all sorts of fans. The new Motorola system that you saw in the photographs is really working out well, as long as we throttle it back, because some of these repeaters are up a considerable amount of time, and at 80 watts, even though it can handle 120 watts, even 80 gets those fans pretty roasty toasty.
Absolutely. And not to continue this repeater talk too much, but there's certain settings where you can either run it at full max wattage or you can dial it back to, I think, about 40 watts. And I don't know that they all come with that option. But anyhow, great, Gordo. Thank you so much. And I have one more question for you. This is from, let's go to KI7AY, Jim. He says, how much worse is a full wave loop for 160 meters if it's closer to the ground, meaning he cannot raise it above 40 feet in the air? Is that problematic? Is he still going to make some contacts? Is he going to have some fun with it?
Oh, at 40 feet? Oh my gosh, yes. Just with that amount of wire, a quarter wavelength on each side, a full wave all the way around. Many phone poles that folks use to support their HF horizontal cubical quad antennas, not the ones like this, but the ones all the way around like a giant loop. If it's unloaded for 160 meters, wow, he'll still have a great signal, even down to 30 feet. He might have a high angle of radiation, but on that particular band, that's what makes it fun, especially 80 and 75 and 160. You're talking out 400 or 500 miles, and that's neat at night.
All right. And it's almost that season, so we can't wait. Get it up there in the air, Jim, and have fun with it. Just try it out, you know? What's, as Bob would say, just throw the wire out there and try it. Thanks, Gordo, for all of your answers tonight. We really appreciate it. I'm going to go over the nets tonight. Unfortunately, W7 UDI just got called out to a fire, and he's has recently switched over to our 75-meter net, and he's not going to be available. So I apologize about that. But hey, that's the service of a wildland firefighter. Check on 7192 for the 40-meter net. We also have 14 Charlie for the D-Star net and 31012 for the DMR net. With that, sorry, you guys, I didn't have any questions for you, George or Don. My apologies. Gordo was great, though.
We didn't have any answers tonight, so
exactly. Yeah, this is a night like many others for me. Yeah, I just sat back in the corner and ate my crayons and listened to Gordon talk. It was wonderful. So, all right. Well, thank you, Amanda. Always appreciate your work with the chat room, and you do great work.
Thank you.
Just the best. Absolutely the best. Gordon, you're the best too. George, any final words for us tonight? We're gonna kind of go around the horn one more time and see if anybody has any final comments before we say goodnight to everybody. George, anything more?
No real final words other than it has been really dry here too, Amanda, and dry enough that there are fire bans in a lot of counties here now. It was 99 degrees in Jackson today, which the 1st of October, it really should not be that hot anymore, but wow. Record setting for sure. Next week, we'll be back with another, I don't know what we're going to do yet on Smoke and Solder, but I can guarantee you it will be something.
Awfully hot in New Orleans as well. New Orleans just had its hottest September on record. We had, I think, 1/10 of an inch or less of rain for the whole month, officially measurable rain for the whole month of September. And October started with 95 degrees. It's never been 95 in October down here as long as they've been keeping records. So, yeah, very hot down here, too. And we could certainly use a little bit of rain. In fact, we're supposed to have a cold front come through for the weekend, so that will be nice. Gordon, any final words for us tonight?
We'll send you some rain. We've got a storm up north, maybe 10 days out. So in about 2 weeks, Don, we'll open up the showers, just light showers for you. Next week, I'm training with the U.S. Coast Guard and auxiliary units on radio. So I'll see you in 2 weeks, 73 all. Don, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Well, I'll be gone next week as well for Cruising the Coast, but Bob will be back with a couple of extremely special guests. You guys are going to love them. And information on a really cool project that they're working on. You're absolutely going to love it. Nice to see Valerie tonight. Amanda, as always, thank you. And thanks also to Dan for the great video from Milwaukee. And with that, we'll return you back to your regular use for the night, and we'll see you again here next week. So good night, everybody. 7-3. We love you. Good night.